And good morning. Welcome to Digital Sunday at Authentic Life Fellowship. You know what mechanical things do? They break at the most in opportunistic times. Anywho, that being said, welcome to Digital Sunday here at LF. We're really glad you're here, and we're looking forward to a great morning with you. And part of that is going to be our Dominican project report number 2. So for those of you who may be joining us, our AC in the worship center is not working today. It is on strike, and we have called an audible, and we are inviting the church to come digitally today. I was asked this question: are the doors locked? The answer is no. No, they're not. We never lock the doors. If you wish to come and sit in 80 plus degrees, by all means, come make yourself at home. The worship team's going to do it because we love you, but we're not asking you to do it. But we're going to have a great day. We're looking forward to this report on the Dominican project. And so we have brought in the other half of our team to share their stories, insights, and musings with you. So let's go ahead and begin to populate the crowd and begin to open up this conversation with bringing some folks in. And we'll bring in, there's Misty. Misty, can you hear us?
Yes, good morning.
Are you there? Wow.
I'm here.
No need to yell. No need to yell. I know you've had breakfast. I know you had brunch already. There's no reason to get all, I'm only a second cup in. Yeah, that's dial it back. And then we get 2 for the price of 1 on this one. So what's funny is I'm the only good one, I'm the only not good one participating.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought about that this morning. So, and I'm going to do this, I think. No, well, let me do it anyway. So anywho, here we are, and we have got slides for you guys, and we're going to share those slides. Hey, Dad, I really don't appreciate you rubbing our nose in the fact that it's cool there. There's some things better just to be kept to yourself, but it's good to see you, Dad. Thanks for being there. Miss Cindy, good to see you. Miss Susan. So we're going to go ahead and begin processing through our slides, and we're just going to share stories and insights and thoughts. And our goal is just to try and impart, what we witnessed and what the Lord did with us and then through us. And so we'll go ahead and get started. Fresh out of the gate, we have the youngest good one. So we're going to make her go first.
Yay. Okay. I was teaching the kids.
So I'm going to ask you to speak up.
Take some of my energy.
Okay. So I was teaching the little kids Noah and the Ark, and we have a translator that we used, but we wrote a lot of the stuff with Google Translate that was on the board.
So how did you enjoy using Google Translate?
It was sometimes complicated, but it was fun.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that we have a technology that gives us that ability at our fingertips?
Yes, sir.
So, Misty, you've been using Google Translate to interact, haven't you?
Yes. I actually use it at work a lot. I always tell people that it's going to be a shame if they come into the office and try to talk to me because I'm really good through email in Spanish. But yeah, I've been messaging with Pastor Menord a lot and started using French with him. And I think now hearing Josh, I know Menord's trying to learn English, so maybe I need to dial it back a little bit on the French.
One of the things that this photograph gives us is the church building was multiple things before it was unified to be used as a church. And this Sunday school class is one of 4 levels? Wasn't there 4 levels in the building?
1, 2.
The worship center was upstairs, and then the kitchen
Yeah,
was
4.
above this, and then there's this, and then there's a floor below it, correct?
Maybe, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. You know, one of the things that's funny is when you go overseas is the creativity, is people make things work. And this church building is a tremendous example of that, because it wasn't built for what it's used for, but with creativity and, say the word, flexibility, you can make things function and do great things with them. Out the back of this room, just around the corner, is the gymnasium, which is really what, a parking lot ish, with a cover and a new basketball goal. So pretty incredible place, very well utilized in its space. And I always respect creativity and utilization of space. And it should always be a reminder of us to be flexible and creative, because not everything has to be cookie cutter. You can work with what God gives you. So any other thoughts or comments about this class or teaching VBS at the main church, the main campus?
They smile a lot, and they're really glad to be there, versus in America, how they're in the Dominican, they're more well behaved, and then in America they're
I was about to say that too.
They're more well behaved.
Yes. Very.
Well, yeah, yeah. That's one of the things that I appreciate about, overseas, and, our experience is the enthusiasm of the children and the appreciation of what's being presented to them. They were excited to be there. They were excited to get whatever they may have been given. It's pretty amazing when a kid loses his mind over a sucker. But when you don't have a lot, and I think part of it too is just a culture of appreciation that sometimes here stateside we wrestle to have. So here's a picture. Yeah, there we go. On the back porch. This is going out to the main entrance of the church building with the kids. And so crafts, what did you guys do for crafts, and how did the kids enjoy that?
So this was day when Taylor and I didn't know we'd be teaching anything, which is fine. You always say be flexible. So Taylor and I taught them about Noah's Ark. We drew a Noah's Ark on a piece of paper, and they just colored them after Taylor. You talked about the story, didn't you? Mm-hmm. And they were so happy just to be coloring. So that's really the only craft we did all week. But they absolutely love to color. They're very quiet, and kids here need to be entertained more than just coloring normally, but these guys didn't need that.
And they also we meant for them to put animals on the arks, but they drew the arks. That was one of the struggles, like trying to explain animals, because it's just English and a mix of other languages. And then the translator wasn't even understanding what I was saying at this point. So we got arcs.
Yeah.
So the language barrier, it is a barrier. We can't dismiss that, but it's not a barrier that there's not a workaround. Whether you have a translator, which is optimum, whether you have something like Google Translate, which is wonderful. But even if you don't have those things, I think we all experienced that a smile, a hug, kind of working together to come to an understanding in and of its own right is a pretty exciting adventure. And when you make a little effort to meet them, halfway, they find a deep sense of appreciation. Sometimes that's not always the case. Here, if someone is speaking a language we don't understand, we may speak English slower and louder, thinking it makes them understand it better. But it is a barrier. but it is not it's not an obstacle that is unovercomable. So this is on the top floor, and this is their worship center. And it's nice. That's a nice space that they've created up there. So what is going on here?
So we were teaching the kids a dance for VBS, and we did this one, I think, every day, but they learned something different each day, a different dance. And then we went slower and taught them the dance, but this was after like the full lesson thing. So it was interesting. It was kind of complicated to learn, but it kind of just came naturally after like doing it once or twice or a few more times than that.
I really liked watching the kids. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Even the kids in the crafts, and even the kids in dancing. The older group, I don't know what ages they were, maybe 10 through 12 or something. I don't know. But here you would have a 12-year-old that probably wouldn't do that because it wouldn't be cool, or, you know, they would be too old to do stuff like that. But that was one thing through the whole VBS. Every kid of every age loved to color. They loved to dance. They all were just excited. I mean, you could tell some of the preteens were, you know, they had to wear their hair fancy and their clothes fancy, but oh gosh, eavesdropper. But anyways, they all love to participate.
Now you're really outnumbered, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel alienated. So, but you know, and again, you know, music is a language everyone can understand. Enthusiasm is an attitude people can understand, and so you guys did VBS two times a day, in the morning and in the afternoon for 3 days, and so you guys did get pretty familiar with the music and the motions of the music. So I'm gonna slide out here for just a second, and you guys carry on.
All right, I'm gonna take over for Jimmy. I don't know why he left, but so here's Jaguita, and I know we mentioned this a little bit last time, where you lost power and had to do everything with the kids all at once. So Misty, were you here? Were you at Jaguita during this time?
Yeah.
You talk a little bit about that experience.
It was really neat. I guess to back it up and start background, I know it was hot, and I know it was different, and I know all the things, but I think I mentioned to Josh a day or two into it, I think I prepared myself for the absolute worst possible scenario that could happen. So the heat didn't bother me, the driving, nothing really bothered me. And here it was kind of a big deal the first day, because when we got there, their power was out, I guess because of the storm maybe. And we didn't have lights, we didn't have fans, we didn't have anything. But it was obviously light enough to do stuff. But there were more Haitians at this location. So they spoke French mostly here, if I recall. There was some Spanish, but the kids were just ecstatic. Again, I mean, all of them wanted to participate. All of them wanted to sing in color. And I don't know. It was different than the first church, but equally as touching, I guess.
Yeah, so the first church we were at, they had different services. They had Haitian services, they had Dominican services, and this one was just a Haitian church, Haitian Creole. This is the one that I got to preach in. But yeah, I don't know if we mentioned it, but there was a real heavy rainstorm. It didn't last super long, but it was pretty heavy on the way trying to get from the Iglesia Batista in Barrio Nuevo to Jaguita. And when we got there, and we were worried for a little bit, right? Because at first there was no kids, or very few. And then pretty quickly, more and more started to show up. And I think you had over 100 even that first day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, you just kind of kept going. All right, talk a little bit. This is actually in Monte Cristi, which there's more photos about this later, but talk a little bit about the puppet show that they would do. If any of you remember watching that or picked up anything from that, that was pretty interesting.
You want to talk about that?
I was going to say, Taylor,
I can if y'all want to. I will.
go for it. You hung out with them more.
So they were having a puppet show, and the kids really were interested in it. They just went crazy over the puppets when they started interacting with the other puppets, and how they tried to I guess play fight with the puppets, and the kids thought it was hilarious. And they got so loud that Pastor Earl had to push them to where they would be a little quieter. It was really
In summary,
interesting.
they lost their minds over the puppets.
Yeah.
The puppets were a huge hit. And only on the surface, puppets, okay, everybody likes puppets, I guess. But later, Pastor Earl, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, talked about how much time and energy he put into making this puppet ministry successful. And particularly that the Haitians and the Dominicans, there's a little, what's the word, maybe they don't all like each other all the time. And so these puppets, different colors, different personalities, he used that as a way to teach unity, I guess is the best way to say it.
That was the theme for them.
Yep. All right,
Not
and then
using-
Taylor, what's going on here?
So Google Translate.
Is this that Sunday morning that
That's
y'all
the first day we was there.
Yeah.
First day.
So we were trying to. I was reading the story from the phone, and no, that wasn't Google Translate. We were reading the Bible from Google Translate. Not from Google Translate. From the Bible app.
Okay, so you're reading from the Bible app in English, and he's translating it. Is that what's
Mhm.
happening?
So
Okay.
I would break it into pieces, and then he would read the pieces, and it went a little longer than English does. So it was interesting to listen to.
Right. And then Misty, this is a photo you took, so you can talk a little bit about this. But this is the neighborhood that of Barrio Nuevo that the Baptist church was at, and I
Yeah.
really like this photo, so I'll let you talk about it.
Whenever we'd get out of the van each morning, this was the street right across from the church. And this one, I don't know, it looks like it. I think it looks paved, but I don't think it is. It's all of it was rock. I don't know. I took pictures of the neighborhood and the street, not to post to show those Sarah McLachlan videos on the new, tried to pull in money or something, but it's just so different. And this is what they have. And even on the Rock Road where the pastors and everything live, I don't know. This is like me the full week. I didn't, usually I'm not at a loss for words. I'm sure the whole church knows. But I didn't really talk while we was down there the whole time. And I don't know if I was just soaking it up, or I don't know. I don't know what it was, but God just kept telling me, just be quiet. Just be quiet and look. And this is just what they live in compared to, driving down Interstate 30 here and pulling up into a brick house in your paved driveway, with your fancy car, when, there's little kids walking down the street, playing with rocks and riding their bicycles. And I loved it because there was dogs everywhere, whether they were stray or whatever, but there were dogs everywhere. And I tried to play with the dogs while we was there. But I don't know. It was just cool. The surroundings were cool. And to know this is probably one of the nicer parts of where they were at. I don't know, just kind of a humbling picture, I guess.
Yep. This is a good one.
Of course, I needed this for autographs later, just so, I may be able to sell this for money. It has such an amazing sales bar.
All it needs is, all I require is 10%. That's very
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. But
No,
I don't know.
but
Lots of thanks to the people who got me on my first trip. That was my thoughts of that.
so Misty, those who may not know, you had a desire to go, but you had fear and trepidation
Very
about
much.
going, and give us a little bit of that process from, man, I really want to do this, but I have reservations, and how God worked through that to get you to where you were just saying, being in country in this kind of be still
Mode.
sense. Yeah. Help us understand how your journey through that, and now what you see is a difference because of the journey.
So, backstory leading up to my ridiculous feelings and reservations about going on this. I've had a past full of a little bit of rough childhood growing up, but in the past 10 years before meeting Bubba, like severe panic attacks, severe anxiety, having to pretty much stay medicated through bad relationships. But all this leads to a constant sense of, I guess, fear when something very unknown comes at you. So I love to fly, I love to travel, but I've always traveled with Bubba. I've always traveled with my family. And so even though the church is my family, when this opportunity came up, I was like, man, I really want to go. I really want to do this. And I wanted to go with Craig also, but I was like, man, I can't go off by myself like that. And so I said yes to this. And the moments between saying yes to us paying our money, I felt like I was going to throw up every day because I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. This is the last time I'm going to see my family. So, anyways, I mean, like severe, ridiculous panic mode. And so finally, I mean, I would pray and I'd be like, God, calm me down, bring the anxiety down, whatever. And so I think the first couple of times I prayed that, I didn't really believe that he could do it. I don't know. But finally it got to the point, I'm like, you know what? If you want me to go, just give me a sign. Give me something. So this was like on a weekend, and starting Monday through Friday, the very next week, every Bible app verse was faith the size of a mustard seed. I'll move your mountains. I'll do this. I'll do this. And everybody I talked to, I guess that had money, if you want to say, to be frank, they're like, no, not only will you go, but we'll help you get there. And so it's just every single day was something, somebody giving me money, some Bible app saying, no, you're going to go. And then I was like, okay. And then it's just kind of like the fear let up, the anxiety let up. And I got down there and I wasn't nervous on the way there. And I got there and it's just like everything was quiet. As far as my spirit, obviously not everything around us was quiet, but just my spirit was quiet. And I don't know. It's just kind of like he allowed me to let go, and he allowed me to have, not that I ever wouldn't be scared to go by myself again, but if he was to send me overseas by myself, I mean, he's with me. If he's going to protect me in whatever way that he's going to protect me, he's going to use me in whatever way he wants to use me. And all the fear I had in getting there, and the comforting life I didn't want to leave here because I was scared I was going to get over there and die and not come back. But I get there and he's just like, be quiet, and just pay attention. And if I can help these people and protect these people, how much more can I protect you, when you're trying to do my work? And so it was just, I was listening to a song this morning. It's like one of the verse was, all the weight falls off my shoulders when your love comes rushing in. And so that's kind of, I don't know. That's just kind of my mentality now, is like, what happens, he's going to be there with me.
So does the phrase, the safest place to be is the center of God's will, mean something different for you now?
100%. It's not just more than a comforting line of pray about it. So
that's not just a line of bull that my pastor throws when he's trying to get me to do something.
Yes, yes, yes.
It truly is, and it's an evidence that God can, just like Jesus did on the Sea of Galilee, God can calm the storm wherever we are, and sometimes it's really hard to experience that at home because there's so much. Sometimes we have to go away where a lot of the other things kind of fall to the wayside, and it's more of an intimate audience of one that we can experience those things, and I'm glad for you guys.
All right, someone's got to talk about Esther.
I think we all have stories about Esther. Y'all can go first if you want.
No, you can.
Oh, super.
Well, here
Esther
I'll
was
talk.
awesome.
Yeah,
She's like-
yeah. You go.
she's like
You talk
my
about it, Misty.
superhero. Like, I want to be her when I'm 85.
So just
She's
to give
very-
let me give some background. I'll let you talk
Yeah.
about her, but just
Yeah,
so
there
people
you go.
know who Esther is. So Esther came. She was the only representative from her church. So she and a group of ladies from her church would make clothing, knit clothing, scarves, and stuff for the kids in the DR. They had a connection with Earl, and then Earl came through one time and preached there and at their church, and he said, "Hey, you guys should come and visit and see the kids that you're making all these clothing items for." And so the group of ladies, they're like, "Okay, we'll go." And so they got all ready to go, and one by one, they all dropped out of the trip for different reasons, and it was only Esther left. And Esther was, what is she, 85?
Yeah.
I think she's
85.
85. She had never been out of the country before. She's recently widowed. Her husband passed away 4 or 5 years ago. And she had every opportunity. She had every excuse to not go. Her age, no one was going with her, all of those kinds of things. The fact that she's 85, it would have been very easy for her to say, I'm just going to stay here. And yet she came. She got on a plane. Thankfully, there were some other people from another church that kind of helped her a little bit. And they were on the same flight coming from Dallas to Miami and Miami to Santiago. And Esther so that is just a little background of how Esther got here. And then Misty, I'll let you kind of talk about your experiences with her.
I don't know. She was just she was inspiring for sure. I think she could outwalk us all. She could outlast us all. She was even like, I think it was the second day, maybe her poor little leg started swelling up and she still went with us. And we had to make her sit down. She propped her leg up and then I don't think Jimmy was there whenever she Christianly attacked the guy that owned the French restaurant that Jimmy's going to talk about later. But we stopped and this guy happened to know where we was from and all this stuff, just small world. And the first thing she went at him, do you know Jesus? And why don't you know Jesus? And he's your savior. And he's like, oh yeah, let's change the subject. And she goes, no, it's either hell or you're going. She was like, it was black or white. There was no, and he was like, y'all come back tomorrow. No, bring her.
Yeah. Yeah, Jimmy's got a whole story with him, but she finally found somebody who spoke English, and the gospel was getting shared to him whether he wanted it or not.
Yes, it was a very forced.
She's a tough lady.
Yeah, that was my memory of her.
All right, so let me talk about this is food that we were fed by the church there. I have fond memories of this food, but I'll let somebody else talk about it.
Y'all want to talk?
One of the things about chicken anywhere else but here is here you can go and order chicken and they go, what part do you want? You have this part, this part, this part. Everywhere else in the world, you get wherever the cleaver fell. There's not this part or that part. It's wherever the cleaver fell and there's meat, so, but they were very, very, conscientious about taking care of us and serving us, and quite honestly, I enjoyed the church food more than I did the restaurant food.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah, a lot of this was prepared by Pastor Kelvis's wife and some others, and you would walk in and they would be cooking this meat, when we came in the morning, and everything would be ready for us, and there was quite the spread. Jeff would probably ate his weight in cookies with Nutella on it. But we had pork. Now, what was interesting is there's some foods that are like what we had, but a little different. So we had, what was the one with carrot potato salad?
Oh,
Was
it's
that what it
great.
was?
Yes, with
Uh,
carrots in
but
it.
it had carrots, which we've never had. That was actually really good. There was one time Pastor Kelvis and I, and some others, we were coming back, and there's a guy selling avocados, which look different over there. They have a smooth skin there instead of the wrinkled skin that the avocados we get here have. And there's a guy selling on the side of the road, so we stopped and he grabbed some, and then when we got there, they cut it up and they put it on the plate. And it was so interesting because the food was delicious. The food they made for us that Pastor Kelvis's wife cooked was probably the best food that we had. The pork, the chicken, and everything was good. But every now and then there'd be something that you're kind of used to, like their pico. You'll see some of it there. Their pico was a little different than the pico we have here. Like, it was just interesting how, like, it was close to things that we had, but just a little different. But we ate really good there. All right, this is the photo. We're gonna let Jimmy tell this story. But this is the guy next to Jimmy, between Jimmy and Melinda, is the guy that Esther tried hard to win to Christ. And this is his restaurant that was very close to the hotel. And Jared and I kept trying to go there every day, but it would be like closed or something would happen. So we finally got to go there. And then we'll let kind of Jimmy talk about the owner.
Yeah, so I arrived after the team arrived, and after the initial visit to this restaurant and encounter with Patrick, the owner. And it was funny because Esther came to me that morning, the first morning I was there, and shared with me her very enthusiastic presentation of the gospel and wanted me to follow up. And I promised her I would have a conversation with Patrick. And now I didn't know who he was, where he was, or anything. I just was trying to help Esther feel better. So anyways, we make our way to this restaurant, and the first thing that I notice is the shirt is black with a yellow collar. There's yellow in the print, and there's yellow down the sides. Well, I had been told previously that he was French by nationality, and so the key to opening conversations is asking the right question. Anyone can talk to anyone if you'll take the time and make a good opening question. And so in meeting Patrick, I noticed the colors. I knew that he was a Frenchman, and I asked him if he was a fan of the Tour de France, which was taking place in July. And he lit up. And so he is the only person I know that I can now talk Tour de France with. But from that opening question, we went into some great conversations. We had great fellowship with him. He opened up restaurants here in Dallas. If you've ever been to Mi Cocina, he's a co-founder of that particular restaurant. He lives in the Dominican. He's French, and just a likable guy. And we had a great conversation. We were able to take this photograph, and I followed back the next day, and the first thing he wanted to do was to show me the photograph of the group. And I'm humbled to say that he chose to share with us contact information, and I communicate to Patrick about once a week, and I have been extended an invitation, if the Lord wills, someday to maybe enjoy French food. I asked him, I said, do you cook French? He said he had tried to put some there in the restaurant, but that the Dominicans only want beans and rice. So he stopped making French food. And I said, well, surely you make it for yourself and your friends. He goes, no. But one day, Lord willing, maybe we'll be together. And he said he'd make me French food. I hope there's no escargot, but if he makes it, I'll eat it. But it's a great illustration of the gospel and being presented in such a way that we don't slam doors. And I'm not picking on Esther. She's very enthusiastic. And but obviously Patrick was not ready to have that conversation. And I'm hoping and praying that there'll be a day when that conversation can be had. And the team had a wonderful time. His restaurant's wonderful. And it just is a wonderful reminder of us as we live our Acts 1:8 life, that we just build bridges Some are given to planting the seed, some are given to watering the seed, and some have the privilege of harvesting the seed. And the wisdom of which one we get to be is important. And so I'm thankful for the opportunities that have been given to me, and I hope to build on that. So
I don't
so
know.
Patrick in the Dominican.
I don't know if anybody can see, but like the price for this one, it says $250, but that's 250 of their quote unquote dollars, and that's about $4.50 US bucks. So the food there was, especially here, was very inexpensive, and pretty good. That was our taste of Dominican. Before then, besides the church, we'd had like KFC and Pizza Hut and some of these other restaurants that were close by to where we were. So I know we've got we got 9 minutes, so we're gonna have to kind of move through things here.
That's just pictures of me. You can.
Yeah, no, you're good. And I know Misty took an opportunity to get to know people, despite the language barrier. Everybody, it's interesting because everybody, you all made impacts. Everyone on the team had an impact on these kids and on these adults and the workers there. And it really didn't matter how much or how little you spoke, just by your actions, your availability to be there. You made these connections. It didn't really matter, just kind of being there and being available. And I think I've got a group picture of, let's see if I've got a big one. Okay, I guess we'll do it here. So we didn't talk about it much on the last one. So I want to talk a little bit, spend a couple minutes talking about Monte Cristi. So I'll set it up.
There is a big group picture.
Is there? Okay, let me.
I think.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I'll let you talk about your experience, but just to give some context. So if you look in the very back, the guy standing, that's Pastor Kelvis, and he built this church. This is a new church, and it's actually called the Judah Church. It's a little south of Monte Cristi, and that was about a 3-hour bus ride away from Santiago. It's very close to the Haitian border, as you can tell. Most of these kids, although not all of them, but most of them are Haitian. And they had a very kind of dilapidated, very small church building. And part of the ministry that Earl's doing down there is working in these kind of refugee communities. They're very poor. We've got a picture later on we'll share about what the neighborhood looked like. But Pastor Kelvis for months went back and forth, 3-hour drive. I'm going here to build this building. And it's really high quality for what they have over there. And it's got ceiling fans, which are unique over there. But we went out there on Thursday, I believe it was, to do VBS, and they said we would have how many kids? Like maybe
50.
And how many kids do we wind up having?
150, I think.
Yeah.
So we had basically every kid in the village. So anyway, that's what's happening here. And I'll let Misty and them kind of talk about what that was like to be in the middle of this environment. But that's just kind of setting the stage.
And Josh, some other qualifiers is it was mentioned earlier, the tension between Haitians and Dominicans. Well, in this group of kids and their adults, there were Haitians and Dominicans in the church together, which was an anomaly, but hopefully, building bridges. But also, these kids had never been to VBS. This was the first experience of anything like this, so that they didn't have any working knowledge of what this was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So what was it like for y'all to kind of walk into this, and how all those kids show up?
It was good. They all were really excited, and there was a photo about 2 back of me with another selfie with this about 4 or 5 right there. Anyways, yes. So I was walking around outside. We just got off the bus, and I think I was the only one still left with a name tag. Somehow I salvaged these throughout the days, but I guess they read my name tag, because the little girl in the back in the red and the one in the white in front, they were leaning out the windows like screaming my name, and they were just waving, and I was like, I don't know who these but they did their art project, and I brought them home, but they gave me their little coloring page, and they wrote my name on the coloring page, and I was like, man, this is just awesome. And kids don't even know me. They just, I don't know. It was fun. It was fun.
And for context, this is what the neighborhood looked like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
the streets of Greenville.
Yeah, so obviously you can compare to Missy's photo of the other community in Barrio Nuevo and Santiago. You can see how poor this neighborhood is. And
that was a nice house too.
Yeah, that was a nice house. They even got some kind of dish on here.
Yeah.
But hanging the clothes out to dry. Just dirt streets. Jeff had a quote. He's been to Uganda and Africa several times, and he said if there were more mud on these huts, then it would have been Africa. That's kind of the environment that they were in, and you would have not thought it, but 150 kids just poured out of here, and they, like you said, they were Haitian Creole, there was Dominican, and they. What was interesting was we didn't do a whole lot of we didn't just try to pick up kids for photo ops, but man, some of these kids just wanted to be held.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one with Taylor. There's a good one of Jimmy. I don't know if I have the one of Jimmy. There's a good one of Jimmy floating around. These kids just wanted to see you. They hadn't probably seen very many white people before, and they were very, friendly and just wanted to kind of get to know you. So they were in another level even from the ones in Santiago, I think. Let's see what else we got. All right. This was after the service, when we were coming back, we stopped by the coast because we were very close. This was not the resort coast, but.
And one of our church members threatened to flatten the bus tires if we didn't go by the ocean.
So this is Misty with Pastor Menor, and what was interesting is they're on an island. And so you would think that they would all be very used to water, but they don't really get to go to the ocean very much. And so over here on the pier, you can see, I think Jared over there, a lot of the volunteers, the workers were jumping off the end of the pier to swim, but Menor, not so much. What was Menor like around the water, Misty?
I walked all the way down to the end, and then I was on my way back, and I forget who was with him, but they were walking to the end, and he made it about maybe where that person in the black shirt there, right above the end, and he was. And he looked at me and like he was looking at the planks and it was pretty, I don't know, planks. It looked sort of new, but they were kind of had gaps in it. And he did his arms straight out like he was balancing. He goes, I can't. And so he turned around and we walked back to he goes, I just can't.
My face.
We were tired.
Yeah. This was our final photo of us coming back. We wore our shirts on the way home, and I know we've only got a couple minutes, and we'll let Jimmy close us. But I will notice that Jordan and Jared got their special shirts. They made their own.
Yeah.
So that's why their colors are different. But any final thoughts from anybody before Jimmy closes on just the trip itself or your experience there, or just any closing thoughts in the final few seconds we got left?
I really appreciate what I have here, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, but being here and being back, it makes me want to go back there worse every day, because not to say that they don't experience it, but I guess because we were getting to do God's work every day, it was just peaceful. And here is just chaotic and whiny and mean. And it just makes you realize just how much we need God. It is ridiculous, crazy how obvious it is after you come back from a place like that, how destructive we are as humans without him. So I would love to go back and just sit in that little patio in the front and watch the stray dogs come up to me.
And Sandy, we don't have the time, but hopefully one day you'll hear Sandy has a great, she taught a devotion based on some of her observations there. That was awesome. So there's more stories from everybody, but we are coming up on it. So we'll back out. Thank you, Misty. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Taylor, for sharing, and Jimmy for sharing your experiences. And we'll back out and we'll let Jimmy close it and give us any instructions for the service. Thank you, guys.
And then there was one. I had a wonderful time on the project. I just want to say thank you so much to all of our team members did a wonderful job. One of the things I chose to do on this project was to not take photographs. Sometimes you can get so captivated in trying to capture the moment that you don't live in the moment. And so I made a conscious decision that I was going to live this experience through the eyes and the photographs of the team. And I've really enjoyed watching and looking and hearing the stories of the team. I want to share with you one last story quickly, and then we will go and prepare for our morning worship. I arrived in country a day late because our dear friend, Brother Buddy, had gone to be with the Lord, and I remained back to minister to Buddy's family and friends. And upon arriving in the country, I was emotional, of course, tired, a lot of things. Well, one of the decisions I got to be a part of that means a lot to me is before Buddy's homegoing, he had given a gift to the church, maybe the last gift he gave. He gave it to go towards youth and youth camp. But by the time he had given the gift, all of the funds for youth camp had been gathered and it was fully funded. And so we opted to redirect those funds to this project if the opportunity afforded it. And upon arriving, we found these kids at the home church, the mother church, playing on a basketball goal that was basically a poor excuse for plywood and a metal rim. And the question was asked, could you use a new backboard? In the Dominican, baseball is king and basketball is second. And so after a significant amount of effort, we were able to secure a quality backboard and rim and net and had it installed. And the cost of that piece of equipment was basically the cost of Buddy's gift. And I had the privilege, before it was put into place, to write a note on the back of the rim with a permanent marker, thanking Buddy and committing this small token as an ongoing ministry of Brother Buddy to kids, because he loved the kids. And that goal will be there for years. And Brother Buddy never got to see it, but his love, his generosity, his capital C church kingdom mindedness will live on in the Dominican. And the rim was not, the ladders had only been moved a moment before the kids took to enjoying this new gift from a brother in the faith that they'll not know until they step into heaven. And so that's what missions looks like. Being willing and able to leave everything that love, and creates a sense of security to follow in where the Lord would have you to go. And we can do that by going to the Dominican, or we can do that simply by going to work tomorrow and being courageously faithful and living what we believe the Lord would have us to live, sharing what the Lord would have us to share, and trying to be his witness. Jeff has a great quote, and it is definitely t-shirt worthy, that our mission field is wherever the soles of our feet may be standing at that moment. And it is, and it was my privilege to be a part of this team and to watch all of the team grow and expand and serve and overcome and persevere. It was a joy. It was a joy, and one that, I believe and hope that we'll share again soon. I want to say thank you to all of the team. I want to say thank you to everyone who helped the team get there. There is so many people, so many fingerprints, and it makes a world of difference. God was good to us and we were faithful to the Lord, and now we leave the results up to him. So thank you to the team for wonderful reports. There's endless stories. Please, if you'll ask them, they'll be happy to tell you, I promise. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to close down our 9 o'clock hour in preparation for morning worship. I hope that you will go and get pottied up and get you a cup of coffee. Come back and join us here in just a few minutes. And for our morning worship services, we continue our study of Thomas. And today we begin our tour between the tombs. I think you're going to like this. Until then, I'll see you soon. God bless.